you can't. The coloring's not real good on here, but it's the gray matter that's like surrounds the whole top layer. So it's like a thin layer of gray matter that goes around. That's the cortex, right? So what are the gyri and the sulci? What are those? What are the gyri?
That's like yeah, right there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a gyri, right? And then what are the sulci?
It's
like the black bones.
Yeah, so those are like the little valleys in between the hills, and they're black. Those are blood vessels in there, and that's what makes the black part. Fissures? What are fissures?
the deeper sulci.
Yeah, so what's that one? Longitudinal fissure. And the transverse is here. You don't have to know it though. Central sulcus.
Kind of in the middle.
Right there. So that's the central sulcus. That's the central sulcus. So it's basically right there. Right?
It's just a line.
Yeah, it's
Sorta.
kinda. Yeah, it's this right here. Those lines, and then it kind of goes right there, like that, all the way down the side. All right. So what does the central sulcus do? What's the function? Because remember, you need to know the function of all these too.
Separates like the parietal from.
So one thing, it separates the parietals from the frontal, right? And then what else? So what's the functional part of up here and right here? Yeah, so there's the post-central gyrus and pre-central gyrus. Or pre-central, post. Pre-central, post-central. So what is the pre-central function in? Motor, yeah, primary motor. And then behind it? The primary sensory. Yeah, somatosensory, primary somatosensory.
So the front is primary motor and the back's primary sensory.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's right?
I don't know. You're the
Do we have
TH,
it
right?
switched around?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. Let's see what else. So that's what the functional area is. Post-central, pre-central, prefrontal cortex. So it's the frontal lobe. The prefrontal cortex is the very, very front of the frontal lobe. Right? What is the prefrontal cortex function in? Yeah, complex thinking and personality, right? Occipital, temporal, where are those? Occipital?
That's occipital.
That?
Not that, but the back.
Yeah, that's occipital.
And then the sides, the temporal.
Temporal. So it's kind of like the bones on the skull, right?
Yeah.
Parietal lobe, parietal bone, temporal lobe.
Would we have to know what like the parietal does? Like the parietal area? Or just the occipital and temporal?
Yeah, I think just the occipital and the temporal. Is the parietal even on here? It's not on that list at all? I never noticed that. Okay. But I mean, where the, if there's a pin there, that's the parietal, right? Yeah. Olfactory bulbs and tracts. So these are the olfactory bulbs right here. Look kind of like rabbit ears if they're all there and not torn up. And then the tracts are the things coming off right behind it. Optic nerve is going to be, well, it would come off right here and branch, so you can see it on this brain. That's one optic nerve, that's the other one. Right? You got two eyes, two optic nerves, right? The optic chiasma, right here, where they come down and join together, would be right here, right there. And then the optic tract would be below the chiasma, where it splits off again, right? You flip that for me. So what?
I was going to say you have to flip the page.
So the pituitary gland, this is it right here. It would be right here. If you can find this hole right here, this is where the infundibulum would go, which is what connects the pituitary gland to the hypothalamus. Yeah. So the pituitary would be like right here. If this one had it. And then you can also see it on a section brain. That's the pituitary right there. The mammillary body. So if you find that, like I said, if you find this hole right here, this area right behind it, the mammillary body. There's 1, 2, one on both sides. And then the cerebral peduncles right behind the mammillary bodies. There's 2 of them, one on each side, cerebral peduncles. Then the pons is the bump right here, like a speed bump. Then the medulla oblongata, and then the spinal cord. Yep. And then of course this is the cerebellum. Yeah, cerebellum. So identifying the internal structures. So what's this part right here?
The lateral ventricle.
Yeah, it's a lateral ventricle. And so the top, or like the ceiling of the lateral ventricle, would be the
Corpus callosum.
corpus callosum, and then the floor of the lateral would be the fornix. Right.
So the floor is the fornix.
Yeah. Septum pellucidum is the.
That's where I do.
Huh?
I don't know. We can't see it.
Well, yeah, it depends on how the brain's cut, but a lot of times, yeah, you're not gonna be able to see it. It's like a thin membrane that separates the left and the right ventricles, so it's in the middle between the two, and it just separates the left and the right ventricle. But it's just a thin membrane, and it goes like this. So depending on how these things get cut, a lot of times you can't see it.
And then the choroid plexus is just like the inside of the
It's the capillaries.
Yeah.
So that's some choroid plexus right there.
And that's where the CSF is made, right?
Yes.
Yep. That's where it's produced at. Right.
The third
Septum
ventricle.
pellucidum, third ventricle. So from the lateral ventricle, the CSF goes to where?
The third.
Third ventricle through the what?
Cerebral aqueduct.
Intraventricular.
Interventricular foramen.
Then which is
the-
the third to the fourth that it's
Is
the aqueduct. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the third ventricle right here, and then the third ventricle. There's also some choroid plexus. Remember, it's in all of the ventricles, right? So that's the third ventricle. The hypothalamus, or the intermediate mass of the hypothalamus, right here. Directly below that would be the hypothalamus. Directly below the thalamus. Remember we said the pituitary gland. What's this right here?
Superior something.
No, those are those.
We already looked at it on the bottom here. I'll give you a hint. It's somewhere
Oh,
on the
that's the
bottom.
optic nerve.
Optic chiasma cut in half. Right. Yep. Let's see, thalamus right there. Hypothalamus, pineal body. You can see it in the. Yeah, that's part of it cut in half right there. Pineal body. And the superior and inferior colliclia. Superior, inferior. And you can see them on a whole brain too. So if you pull this back, it's like baby buns on a bicycle seat is the analogy they use on your sheet. So this would be the baby buns bicycle seat, and then on the top would be the pineal body. So this is the superior, inferior, and then the pineal body is above them all right there. Right? And so again, you can see that in the cross section, right? Inferior, superior, pineal body. Right? Cerebral aqueduct does what?
Connects the third and the fourth ventricle.
Yeah, so the third ventricle, then that CSF flows through this right here. It's a pretty good one, actually. This is the cerebral aqueduct right here. It's cut. And then down to the fourth ventricle, which is underneath the cerebellum. The meninges, so what are the meninges?
The layer.
The layers that cover and protect the brain, encase it. What are the three of them?
Dura mater, pia mater, and arachnoid.
Yeah. So from closest to the brain to farthest away, what are they? What's closest?
Closest to the brain is the pia,
Pia,
arachnoid, dura.
Dura, right. So dura mater you can see pretty easily. This is the dura mater right here. This
Yeah, the
stuff,
white.
this white stuff, is dura mater. Pia mater is going to be this shiny stuff on the. It kind of covers the whole outside surface. If you kind of think about it like, I think about it as kind of like Saran wrap. It's just on there really tight.
So we won't
You
see
know?
the arachnoid mater.
And the arachnoid matter is in between the two, yeah, and it's tough to see it, like, just looking at it right here. So we usually don't try to pin arachnoid matter and ask you what it is.
Unless you're evil. And I think that's it. Pretty much.
Flow of the CSF again. We did. You should have gone over that, right? And that's on the sheet as well, or on somewhere on Moodle. There's the flow.
You want to see the ventricular foramen?
The interventricular foramen? No, it's tough. Yeah, you probably will not have it bent. No. And then the optic nerves. Remember, you need to know the first 6. You need to be able to identify the first 6, but know the names and functions of the first 12, right?
What? She told us the first 6.
You gotta be able to recognize the first 6.
Yeah, you need to be able to identify the first 6, but know the.
Yeah, because she told us we just had to know the first 6.
Oh, then yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, well, then don't worry about it. But you definitely need to be able to identify the first 6 for sure.
Yeah.
So remember, we already did a couple of them, right? What's this?
Just the olfactory.
Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 6, abducens, number 5, trigeminal, tri 3. It's a nerve that splits off into three parts, and you can see it on here. And on this brain, the bait where it would come off of the brain would be like right here. But it got, just sliced off. But this is it right here. And then the number 4. It's really small, and a lot of times it gets ripped off. That's it.
Oh my gosh.
Right there. That little white looks like a string, kind of. So it looks kind of like the abducens, pretty much, like just tiny, just small, skinny, but it's coming off down here off the side. This is where the base of it, and it comes up and kind of wraps around
What is
the
that?
side here. That's the trochlear. It's right there. Yeah.
Where's the ocular motor again?
So, yeah, can you go through the nerves real quick? One more time.
So, number 1, olfactory. Number 2,
Optic.
number 3, ocular motor. Number 6,
Abducens.
abducens. Number 5,
The trochlear. Or the
trigeminal. And then coming off the side is the
Trochlear.
trochlear. Yup. I think that's all the parts that you have to be able to identify, but also know the functions of each of those. We talked about a couple of them, but yeah, you need to know the functions of all of them. And